Well,
that happens when chaos takes the stage. Cringe and drama, laughter, rage. Roll initiative and brace your mind for the horror stories players leave behind.
nice.
Changed it a little bit.
Yeah, it looks
Added,
good.
added some more.
Love it.
So, today we have 3 awesome horror stories, and we will react to them being live and uncut. After that, you can watch them edited versions, much more dense. Yeah,
With animated images to go along with it for
Yeah.
what we see in the letters, in the writing.
horror stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Can't wait to get into these. You ready to start?
Yeah. The
Which
first
one are we doing first?
The first one is from El Andor 5. Greedy monk kept secretly stealing the party's loot. The DM went along with it for a long time.
Oh boy.
Steal the party's loot.
Yeah. I see this a lot. Have you seen this a lot? Like a greedy party member that's always hoarding loot?
I didn't give a lot of loot to my players.
You didn't.
No.
It's not a big deal in your game.
It should be, but I'm too lazy to prepare it.
Oh, yeah, I definitely do it in advance. But like gold and stuff like that, generally most of the parties that I run or am in, they split it up. When you find gold, they immediately split it up and everybody gets their share. I have a group. They don't share anything. Whoever finds it keeps it. They are on finders keepers, losers weepers roll the rules.
Okay.
But only group does that, and they don't work great together like that.
But in general, do they keep the atmosphere in the group, the collaboration aspect fine?
Mostly, there's like 3 of them that always get along and always want to do the same thing, and then there's the other 3 are always fighting everything. Like they're hiding stuff, they're secretive, they go against the party constantly.
How many
Yeah.
sessions did they go through?
We're in quite a few. 15 so far, maybe. This is a current. Yeah, this is current.
And still they do that?
Yeah. Yeah, they like to tweak or push each other's buttons, let's say. It makes it pretty chaotic, but it's fun for me because things get crazy all the time.
All right.
All right. Well, let's see what they do to this greedy monk in this one.
Greedy monk.
All right. So this
don't need a lot of loot.
Yeah, why does a monk need loot?
What does it monks need like tattoos?
They don't even wear shoes.
Yeah, they don't. I don't know.
They don't need weapons. They don't need shoes. They don't need anything. Yeah. Seems like the monk would be the least likely to be the greedy person in the party.
Yeah.
Maybe the wizard would be greedy because they have to spend so much money scribing spells and stuff. They would need the money, but not the monk.
I don't even know what to spend them on.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, so this was a long time ago, and it still kind of baffles me. And I'm not 100% sure about the specifics of how the monk managed to pull all of this off. I've tried to explain it the best I could. Okay. So this person's even baffled by why this monk was this way.
And he doesn't know why. And not why, how.
How? Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
this isn't a rogue, it's a monk. All right. We'll find out. Game information. It was
Chapter 1.
number one, game information.
Chapter 1. Game information.
Yes. It was an online game of D&D 5e played primarily through voice chat. I was invited to the game by an online friend who was friends with the DM, so a friend of a friend. The rest of the party was filled up by players who responded to the DM's game ad online somewhere. This also a higher level campaign. I think we started at about level 8, and the DM was pretty generous with experience points. So I guess they're leveling up pretty quick in this game.
They are already at level 8. Yeah, they are rushing through the god mode.
Well, they started at level 8.
Yeah, they started at level 8 and
Yeah.
they are rushing to the 20.
Yeah.
On their
So
way.
chapter 2, the monk.
Chapter 2. I can do
You
the
do the chapters. All right,
Yeah.
go for it.
Chapter 2, the monk.
The problem player was a tabaxi monk. Tabaxi are cat people, right?
Yeah, furry.
So he was I assume the player, or maybe the character, I don't know. He says he was kind of a douche and also the type of min-maxer who would keep talking about how awesomely his character is designed and how we can't even compare, and would lord it over us from time to time. So they're saying that the player was a douche, not the character. They're a
Yes.
min-maxer and they're constantly shoving how great their character is in everybody else's face.
And edgelording.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's kind of hard to set yourself against the whole party without being an edgelord and a min-maxer. That's a rough combination.
There's a combo.
Yeah, he got the combo platter. All he needs is a little rules lawyer, and he will be the worst player ever.
I think that min-maxers are somewhat of rules lawyers. No?
Sometime. I think most min-maxers I've played with are only rules lawyers for themselves. Right? They want every advantage. They want to bend every rule to make their character as strong as possible. True rules lawyers will argue against every player in their group if they violate a rule.
Even min-maxers don't care about that, right?
Yeah, min-maxers only care about their own character. So a few times this got him into trouble. I guess this bragging got him into trouble. We had to save him, and he always whined that he should have been able to get out of it by himself whenever that happened, because he's min-maxed out the perfect character. I don't even know what the point of playing the game is if you assume that there is no challenge at all in the game. Right?
Yeah. There is no point in this, and there is no point in cheating in the game.
Yeah.
They equally pointless things.
Yeah.
Especially in TTRPG. In any game, but in TTRPG, it is extremely stupid.
Yeah. You're taking all of the game out of the game.
Yeah.
Right?
After that, remove just role playing and dice rolls also. They suck.
Yeah. Just remove all of it and just, I guess, get a microphone and tell a story. That's all you have left.
DM will roll with who you meet, and you will roll how you beat.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. So we were in a town, or when we were in a town or any type of civilization, he'd also sometimes go off on his own. So there you go, edgelord, like you said. We didn't think much of it. The DM occasionally role played separate scenes for each player whenever there was a need for it, and the rest of our characters also sometimes went on their own errands. Monk's character was also the typical insufferable lone wolf. So you were right. He's an edgelord and a min-maxer.
He's edgelord in this game.
Yeah. So none of us even really wanted to role play any more than necessary, and thus didn't inquire further about this character, right? How do you deal with that? I mean, have you had that, like an edgelord who refuses to be with the party in one of your games?
I was in a group where one girl was not a edgelord by herself, but she was edgelordy a lonely wolfie because she was constantly on her phone. So
Oh,
she didn't know what it was happening around, and she was just rolling with whatever is happening. I don't understand why she still goes there and
yeah.
plays there. But I moved out of this group because there were a couple of people who played like that, and I don't see any point.
Yeah, it bothers me a little bit as a DM when people are on their phones and they're not paying attention to anything in between their turns, and then they want me to repeat everything that happened between their last turn and now. Like,
At
we
least she
just
doesn't
play.
want to repeat because she doesn't even. I think
She
that she
doesn't even
doesn't
care.
even care.
Yeah.
This is the
Well,
worst. Even worse than
yeah.
asking to repeat. At least they somewhat show some interest. There, I just don't understand. Whenever DM tries to interact with her, she can reply or, "Oh, I don't know, I don't know. I'm making something dumb,"
Yeah.
and she actually proceeds doing something dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like that either way. I don't know why people play if they don't even care what's going on. And second of all, if you're going to be on your phone your whole turn and you have no idea what's going on when your turn comes up, then neither does your character. So you're not paying attention, your character's not paying attention. So now it's your turn, you have no idea what's going on. What are you doing? I'm not
Where is
repeating it
the
all.
immersion? Where is
Yeah.
immersion? When you are immersed in this little screen all the time,
Yeah.
when there is the whole world in your head,
Yeah.
should be. They can be the whole world in your head, but instead you are sticking to a little screen.
Yeah. It doesn't make
This
any
is
sense to me,
stupid.
and I'm not going to drag down the whole group because one person's not paying attention, and we're going to do everything twice because you can't look away from your phone. I'm sorry. Your character just has no idea what's going on. They don't pay attention either, just like you don't. So you're going to make bad moves because you don't know what you're doing and you're not paying attention. And that's fine. If that's the way you want to play, I think eventually the players will probably police that themselves and tell this person either start paying attention or stop coming because you're doing dumb things because you have no idea what's going on. You're hurting us, the rest of us who actually want to play the game and not be on our phones. I think we're up to chapter 3.
Already?
Yeah.
He was
You
a
got this?
lone wolf, so none of us really wanted to roleplay any more than unnecessary, and thus didn't inquire further. Chapter 3: Trouble is Brewing.
Yeah. The trouble began. I think the trouble already began when this person was let in this group, but the writer says the trouble began when the DM seemingly began to be very stingy with loot. It had been steadily growing worse over the course of a few sessions. Soon enough, we'd fight through a whole dungeon and see that about half the treasure chests and such would only be half full, or they'd even be completely empty, as if somebody had already pilfered them.
Oh,
There were no magic items found by any of us for several sessions. Before that, we'd find at least one per session or a small one that was mostly for flavor. It was very high magic setting. So I thought the DM was had simply decided to be a lot more strict with loot. So I didn't say anything. So they're starting to notice signs that something weird is going on, But right now they think it's the DM that's the problem. Right? He's
It
just
is the
stingy
DM.
like you.
It is the DM. Yes.
Well, it is, but not the way they think. I think
Eventually.
right. They're going to find out here shortly. At one point, we were fighting an undead warlord who stole the ancestral sword of my character's family. But when we got through this castle into the treasury, the sword wasn't there. And again, half the treasure chests were empty. I thought it was simply a plot hook and that the DM will follow back on the sword's real whereabouts later. So, despite the initial disappointment, I didn't give it much thought. All right, so now this is a character's backstory that the DM has tied into this campaign, right? With this ancestral family sword. But when they get to the place and fight the guy who has the sword, it's not there.
Awesome.
So now it seems to me like this monk's greed is now affecting other players' backstories. Like this was supposed to be his big moment. This other character, their big moment. And they get no big moment because the monk stole the sword that he can't even use or won't.
How did he pull this off?
I don't know. I think we're going to find out. I hope we're going to find out.
Do you have any theory?
I'm
Did they
guessing that
contact
this
before?
edgelord monk is going off by themselves in the dungeon and stealing everything, but I don't understand how, because they fought the warlord, right? They said
Yes,
they fought
exactly.
the warlord. So how did he get the sword away from this guy without fighting him?
I have a theory.
You do?
He
Let me
might
hear it.
pull off some maybe like mind bending spell or some skill, or maybe he stops the time, and when everybody is frozen, then he steals the loot. And
Yeah.
this is what they have an agreement. He has to work with the DM, of course,
He has
because
to.
otherwise it is impossible to do. He has to interact with the world, and the DM is the world.
Yeah. The other thing
So
he
this is my
might
wild
be,
theory.
yeah, no, I think you're on the right track. I don't know how he's doing it. It could be as simple as while the others are fighting, the monk is looting and he's sending messages privately to the DM saying, I'm going to look in this chest while nobody's looking. But the DM should be allowing perception rolls or using passive perception to see if
Mhm.
anybody sees him doing this.
And active perception would work as well, because if they are fighting, they will see that the monk is doing
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
during his turns.
Exactly. So let's find out. The next session, we were supposed to go to some forgotten temple and retrieve some artifact from there. We went inside, and as usual, the monk went first to scout. There we go. He's scouting.
All right.
We thought that. There were no enemies inside, and as soon as we set out to follow this super fast monk, and they can be super fast, right? They have step of the wind, so they can move pretty quick. The DM announced to us that we hear the monk screaming in pain. It's about time. The monk seemed confused by this, and as soon as we got inside the room the monk was in, the DM narrated that we see a large statue of the goddess whose temple it is. Underneath it is a large ornate chest, and there are some runic letters on the chest. And in front of the chest was the monk, now turned into a golden statue. So the monk finally got his.
King Midas.
Yeah. Yep. The Midas statue got the monk. I would be
Yeah.
cheering at this point. The monk is furious. Well, the monk is a golden statue. The player is furious. So the monk was furious, started an argument with the DM, and it got heated. They eventually took it to a private chat, and unsurprisingly, the monk was out of the game not long after. I was just mostly confused by what just happened. I think the DM finally had enough of the monk, and said, all right, you just got yourself in a trap. And then the monk was mad because he probably had 93 skills to prevent himself from falling in that trap. And the DM just said, tough crap. You've been edgelording long enough.
Yeah, do not go scouting and looting everything. This is origins of party splitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds
Basically.
to me, by the way he's writing this, that the rest of the party's getting along pretty well. And they're starting to think that the DM is holding out on them when really it's this player going behind their back. Right? He must have had like a bag of holding or like never-ending pockets or something, because where's he putting all this loot that the party never sees him with any of it?
Was he going to sit on it like a dragon?
Yeah.
Hold
Apparently that was the
all
plan.
of that useless loot for him. Because
Yeah.
he can barely use anything.
Have you
Good
ever
monk.
played in a D&D game where you actually got money outside the game?
What?
Yeah, like this monk is playing like he gets to keep this money
Oh.
outside the game,
Yeah, right.
right? Like this is
Huge.
fake money. Why are you hoarding fake money? You're so greedy that it extends all the way into your fictional game? That's
dragons also. I don't understand why dragons also hoard all of that gold.
yeah, I don't either, but I like it because when you beat them, you get to get their gold and stuff in game. That's
Of course
always
in
fun.
game, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get to do all these random rolls for magic items and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Maybe he was aiming to become a dragon at some point.
Maybe he was a dragon in disguise as a monk.
It would make sense.
Yeah. I guess we didn't get that far because he got thrown out of the game.
But for now, he acts like a kobold
Yeah.
rather than a dragon.
Yeah, he's definitely acting like a kobold. Not a
Not even
fun
a
person to be in a
dragonborn.
game. We're on chapter
even-
4. You got this? Do it. Dramatic.
Chapter 4. The DM's reveal.
Oh, we're about to find out what happened for real. The DM's going to spill all. He writes a tell-all book. The DM then explained to us what was written on the chest was a warning that only those blessed by the goddess can open the chest and anyone else will be cursed. He also told us that the monk was apparently stealing from the party for the longest time. Not apparently. The DM was letting him steal.
Supposedly.
Yeah, apparently he was stealing from the party. I just found this out today. No, the DM was in on it the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah. In the sense that he was looting treasure from the dungeon whenever he went ahead and keeping some of it for himself without telling the rest of us. This is the DM allowing it because all of these rooms that they went into that they had to fight things in, and he had already looted the stuff. How did the things not see him?
He is like 20 on stealth.
I guess every single time. That's crazy. The DM should not have allowed that. That's nuts. I mean, if you want to try to steal, make your rolls, but eventually you're going to fail one and the party's going to be on to you.
Every single time.
Yeah. So either they were fudging rolls or something was going on here. Or maybe this guy just min-maxed his character so high that he couldn't fail a stealth check.
I told you. This is what I meant by making that. So he was min-maxing every stat to min-max his stealth, so he is almost invisible.
He's all 20s.
Yeah. But he can't do anything else but go in stealthy.
Yep. I would say his wisdom was a 1 because he's just a greedy and a terrible player to play with. So at first, it was apparently small stuff. Yeah, thieves always start small and then they get more brazen as they get away with it, even in real life,
Yeah,
right?
they have a taste.
Yeah, they get a taste and then they get bigger and bigger until they get caught. That's what
They
always gets
don't
them
get
caught.
that much dopamine anymore.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they would stick like drug addicts.
yeah,
Every time it is growing.
yeah. Yep, every time. And it obviously did with this guy. He'd then present the rest of the treasure chest contents to the party while keeping his hidden stash in several bags of holding. Who has several bags of holding?
Several bags. Not one, several bags of holding. Yeah,
He's-
he was min-maxing
Yeah.
his stealth.
The writer says in parentheses here, we were all allowed to spend starting gold on magic items with price based on their rarity. So apparently he must have bought all these bags of holding because when he created his character, he was planning on doing this the whole time.
Yeah. I told you. He went full in for the stealth, and it was his.
Unbelievable. I am so greedy that I'm planning out my character's greed in character creation. Sometimes he'd apparently even lock the treasure chest after looting it, after looting what he wanted from it to make it seem like he just discovered it when he
I don't know.
re-unlocks it.
It does sound a little interesting, in fact.
I think if I'm
does
in this
sound a little
group,
interesting.
it's like oops, I slipped and my dagger repeatedly punctured the monk.
No, yeah, probably, but it it would be kind of fun, of course, if he doesn't like get mad when he get caught. Because if I would pull something like that, I would be waiting for it to
Yeah.
come.
Well, he did get mad when he got caught because obviously
Yes.
the DM got tired of it. So they trapped this with a curse, the statue, and he went and did his thing and turned himself to gold and then got mad about it. Right?
Yeah. I think that probably the DM also thought that it would become some kind of interesting story, some kind of interesting resolvement or something. And after
Well-
that, he just saw that he just does it
Yeah.
over and over. Several bags of holdings, several.
Yeah, several. Yeah, I think the DM was hoping by doing this, by catching him, the party then turns him back from gold to himself, and then they have it out with him and say, stop stealing from the party, and then everybody moves on and continues the game. But
And there will be some drama, maybe something
Yeah.
interesting will happen.
fun in-game role-playing drama, not player drama, character drama. Right?
Of course.
That's what
Always.
That's what I would have been hoping for. If I was the DM in this situation, I would have probably done the same thing and hoped that they worked it out as a group and they moved on as a group. But of course, this edgelord min-maxer, his ego is as big as his greed, and he can't let that happen. He just needs to steal through the whole game. Where was I? The DM said it was, yeah, he'd sometimes lock the treasure chest so it looked like he was unlocking it for the first time. He'd communicate these secret actions with the DM through direct messages, and for the longest time, the DM indulged him. That was his first mistake, I think. I would allow the rolls, but there's no way he's getting away with this forever.
He did not.
Yeah, he didn't. The said DM was very into the simulationist approach. He said he didn't want to limit our actions too much and just wanted to make sure they had realistic consequences. I'm 100% with that. I'm going to
That's
allow
what
him
we
to
are talking
steal,
about.
but when he gets caught, he's going to get caught, and there's going to be real consequences.
Yeah, do whatever you.
Yeah,
You
they want to
figure
kill
out.
him. I'm going to let him kill him. seriously, yeah. He got to do what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it. If they want to kill him for it, they're welcome to. That's the best way I can explain why the DM kept up with it for so long, or put up with it for so long as he did, as I really don't understand why myself. I do. I understand why. I don't understand why this player wanted to steal from his whole group forever. That's terrible. Team playing, and you're destroying everybody's backstory by stealing the items that were meant for them. You're hurting the party long term, because now they don't have magic weapons and items that were meant for them. You just have them all hoarded in a bag, in several bags of holding. Right?
Yeah, and that sword from the backstory, it was messed up. He could at least leave that. To the
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, at least leave those things, because you know they're meant for the other players. But he was purposely sabotaging the game.
Purposely sabotaging.
Yeah.
Shit.
The few sessions where we keep finding suspiciously empty chests were after he started being much less subtle with it and went overboard, taking more things than before, including some magical items that the DM meant for particular characters that the monk couldn't even use. He apparently mostly sold those items in town or buried them somewhere to pick them up later. So
His
yeah, he's a
dopamine
kobold.
needed to be he needed that dopamine hit more and more, as we told.
Yeah. Go to the mall and
Couldn't get enough.
shoplift. Get out of my game. The DM seemed to hate the monk by that point. He kept ranting about him and how insufferable he was. And by that point, we all agreed. Apparently, during their secret conversations, the monk kept arguing with the DM about what he's able to do without the rest of the party knowing or not. With notable quotes such as, "It's not fair. I have so much speed. I should be able to loot the whole corridor before they even get there. I'm sorry, I don't care how much speed you have. You're not the Flash. You're still visible."
Yeah, you don't freeze time, as I assumed.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I have a one sentence that I would say to this player that should end the argument. If it doesn't, then that player probably will need to move on from the table. And that statement is, "This is not a conversation. This is a ruling."
Do not argue with the DDM, especially during the game. I'd say like that. You can suggest something to him. Maybe the DMs also make some mistakes from time to time.
Yeah.
It is hard thing to do, DMing.
Yeah. I
But
100% agree. And if average player says this skill works this way, and maybe because of the change in the rules or whatever, I'm not up on the new rule or something, of course, I'm going to rule in their favor if they're right. But I'm not having DM, like direct message conversations where he's arguing with me against the roles that were made. That's just dumb. No, you're not that far ahead that you're going to loot an entire room before the party catches up. You're being ridiculous.
yeah, they also have eyes, you know.
Yes.
They have perception. Where are perception rolls? He should have led the party roll perception checks.
Yeah.
I'd say that, because it is impossible. We are going all like 4 of us, okay? Even if there are 5 of us, we can see that monk is somewhere every fight.
Yeah. Yeah, he's always gone and never where he's supposed to be. So finally, the other players get to see what's inside those bags of holding, those several bags of holding that he carried. And there were still several magic items in there. One of the set one of the said items being the ancestral sword of my character's family. Yes, he stole that one too. The DM wanted to teach the monk a lesson, and that trapped chest that turned him into a golden statue was meant to be his lesson, per what the DM told us. It wasn't meant to be permanent. The goddess whose temple he wanted to steal from would turn him back after a few hours and give him a chance to seek redemption somehow. But the monk left the game, so it was turned into a permanent thing. So that monk statue is permanent in their lore. That's canon now, that monk statue.
That's canon.
They put a plaque on it that said the greediest monk ever.
Literal King Midas.
Yes. Greed kills.
Yes.
All right. I got another chapter. Last chapter.
Chapter 5, conclusion.
Yeah. The rest of us were not that surprised, as the monks seemed to be the kind of guy to do a thing like this. It probably all made sense to them once they found out what was really going on behind the scenes, right? Now it finally makes sense why everything's empty. The monk was also particularly insufferable the last few sessions, and we were overall just glad he was gone from the game, and we're happy to continue without him. The game did improve afterwards. That whole situation did leave a bitter taste in my mind, though, mostly in hindsight. Knowing that the DM knew about this for so long and indulged him for that long without telling us about it. No, I don't agree there. The DM shouldn't have told you about it unless you rolled to catch him.
But he could, again, about the perception rolls, I guess that it would be fair to just at least give them the chance to notice it.
Yeah, I would have allowed, even if they weren't actively looking, I would have allowed passive perception to notice something.
Yeah, otherwise, maybe they failed every time.
Yeah, like you walk into the room and the monk is getting up from a chest. Right? Stuff like that. Based on rolls, of course. But again, it is not the DM's job to tell you that one of the players in your group is being a jerk. You have to roll for that.
It is also arguing with the DM. The way he leads the game, he masters the game. It's up to him.
Yeah.
Not up to you.
Yeah, exactly. And this person who writes this says, I'm not even sure how exactly he managed to keep it a secret from the rest of the party for so long. I would assume that the DM was probably doing a lot of work behind the scenes to determine where everybody was and their lines of sight and whether or not they could see anything and how far ahead was the monk. I think he must have given him a lot of leeway, though, because he obviously was going into rooms that had creatures protecting these treasures, and somehow he was eluding them as well, which that doesn't make sense to me. Right? Like he goes in, loots a room, then the party goes in and there's a creature in there. Why didn't the creature see the monk? I'm sorry.
This way there is no point to even fight anybody. You can just go there and steal everything from
and then leave
from the mobs.
Leave all those poor victimized creatures in the dungeon because you stole all their stuff. The monk wasn't the only one who had a secret plot line. I remember that the sorcerer was heir to some kind of kingdom, which he kept secret from everybody. That's okay. That happens. You don't tell everybody your backstory until you feel like it. And was using the party.
That.
What's that?
I like that.
I do too. This sorcerer was using the party to get strong and rich enough to help him win his throne back from the usurper. I love that as a backstory. You all have to be on the same adventure, but you don't have to have the same reason for being on the adventure.
Of course, of
Right.
course.
As far
As
as
you
I
told,
know, oh, go ahead.
as you told before, that tell me your reason for the adventure. If you can't, tell me why you are on this adventure. Roll another character.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the reason can be different. Maybe one guy wants glory, one guy's looking for money, this guy's trying to win back his throne. The monk is just trying to rip everybody off, right? Everybody has a reason to do this. Maybe whoever they think is the BBEG is your enemy, and that's why you're on this, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be the same reason, but you all have to be working in the same direction. As far as I know, the sorcerer was trying to win back his throne, get rich, and win back his throne from the usurper. As far as I know, he wasn't stealing from the party nor acting against us in any way. He says any other way, like keeping a secret about your backstory is working against the party. It's not, unlike the monk. I don't want to make it seem like I'm criticizing the DM too much, but he does criticize the DM a lot for this.
Yeah, undeservedly.
I think so. I agree with you. As he was great otherwise, the DM. But I don't think this was handled well. I wish he had just had a chat with this guy to cut this sort of behavior sometime early on and booted him out of the game if he continued doing it. I disagree 100%. This guy can play that character that way. If the DM was shielding him in any way, that would be wrong. Like not allowing rolls when he should have for them to catch him. And the DM actually got tired of it and set the trap that caught him eventually. So
Teach him a lesson.
yeah, teach him a lesson and maybe use it to bring him into the party. Right?
But this player sounds like someone who would be better to keep on in a state of golden statue for the rest of the campaign, because he gets the combo of insufferable, everything insufferable. I don't understand why did they keep him at their table. I think that he needs another table. He can find people like that who could enjoy stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Being a party of edgelords.
A party of edgelords is basically just go play solo D&D. I mean, why get together with a bunch of people and then play by yourself?
Yeah, no sense.
Yeah, it bothers me a little bit. I mean, I have had groups that like to split up a lot. And it really takes away from all the other players, right? Because now I'm gonna do these three players because they're over here, and all the while the other two players are sitting there doing nothing. When you're together as a group, you feel more engaged, right?
Right. Yes.
So edgelords really take away from the game. There are instances and circumstances where you do separate for legitimate reasons, and you have to handle that. As a DM.
I would like to see an edgelord in real life, in the real game. I just haven't met. I heard a lot, like legends, edgelord legends.
Yeah, I've had a few in games, but through gameplay, I've encouraged them to join the group. For example, I think some edgelords want more attention. So when they separate from the group gets half the attention, and then you split to them and they get half the attention. So they're getting more attention than everybody else. I don't do it that way. If they want to split from the party, I'm going to stay with the party 4/5 of the time, and they're going to get their 1/5.
Yeah. You got to play 5 minutes an hour.
Yeah.
You want to be edgy, lordy.
Yeah.
You get your 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah. You can have your 5 minutes of whatever you want to do, and everybody else we're going to be with the main group for the rest of the time, because that, or you're going to run into some random encounters by yourself that aren't going to go very well for you. Yeah.
So on this beautiful note, I wanna always will remind to leave a like to anybody who was courage enough to finish this horror story and survive to it with us. To give this video a like and to
Yeah.
the stream as well. By the way, of course,
Yeah.
because we definitely lack one of those bumps. Bing, bing, bing.
Yeah. Give us subscribe, like the content if you like the story, leave your story or communicate with us, DM us if you want to even come on and do your horror story with us. We will judge you though.
And
We
there is
promise.
email.
That's what we do.
We will roast you.
We'll roast you and your whole story. And we will love it. If you're lucky, we might even call you a Karen.
And say yes, Karen. All right. So the next story comes from Visible Clothes, 5029.
Hold on a second. I gotta get that one up here.
Oh, right.
It's not loading. Hold on.
I will read the title, and after that you can start. I will fix everything in post.
Okay. I'm trying to get it to come up.
I can send it the link to you because the links are messed up because there are numbers in front of them. Open your.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't notice that up there. Okay.
I messed up them a little. So our sorcerer.
Okay.
Our sorcerer locked the door twice while we were dying outside. Another edgelord.
I still can't get it to come up.
Yeah, I sent you in the Discord.
Okay. I'll pop it. Yeah, there it is. All right.
Our sorcerer.
There we go.
At the door.
All right. So you said visible close 5029. Our sorcerer locked the door twice while we were dying outside. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see where this one goes because
the first one was stealing from the party. This goes even further.
He just slams the door. All right, you guys die in there. This was kind of like
amplifies.
When you were telling the Chupacabra story, when you said to sacrifice the NPCs, this guy's just sacrificing the whole party.
He's aiming for the whole loot.
Yeah.
Without stealing it.
Yeah, you don't have to steal it if they're all dead. Yeah. All right. So here we go. You ready? All right. Hey, folks, I've been sitting on this one for a few hours. This might be emotional.
Oh, yes.
He's only been sitting on it for hours, but it's still gnawing at me. It's only been hours. This story isn't about a rules dispute or bad dice. Bad dice isn't a horror story. That's the game.
That's a good story.
That's a good story.
The best stories go with the bad dice.
Yes. Nat ones are the best story devices we have. This story is about trust, teamwork, and what happens when those things fall apart in a game that's supposed to be collaborative. I think we got another edgelord.
Sounds like that.
Yeah.
It's D&D magic. Somehow I don't really read them before the stream.
Yeah.
I gather them up, but somehow you see they combine in these themes, in topics.
Yeah, maybe people are reading other stories and then they're remembering their own horror story and then posting that. Maybe. So we're a mid-level party in the middle of a tough arc. Our usual healer couldn't make it that session, so we were knowingly short-handed. That meant we had to watch each other's backs even more than usual. The fight started rough. Our barbarian, Thorn, got hit with hold person and ended up surrounded by 3 enemy melee fighters and 2 spiritual weapons, paralyzed and completely helpless. Our party's sorcerer, Veyrin, decided to retreat behind a door and shut it. Didn't call fall back. By the way, calling retreat, that's a free action. He could have done that. Didn't cast a support spell or anything, just quietly walked over to the door and closed it behind them.
Oh,
While Thor was about to get chopped apart.
Doesn't Sorcerer have any healing spell?
It's possible, not always though. They can.
But if they couldn't make the healer, could he take a long rest to, like, he can prepare a healing spell?
Yeah, I think sorcerers can have certain healing spells. I think though it depends on their subclass, whether or not they can get healing type spells. I'm not positive on that. I would have to look into that a little bit, but I'm pretty sure a sorcerer in one of my games, maybe he's a magic initiate, druid or magic initiate, cleric, and that's why he has healing spells. It could be that. So maybe, but anyway, they could have cast some kind of support spell that would have allowed everybody else to escape. And they could have just said, hey guys, let's go through this door and lock it and escape with our lives for a minute. But he didn't. The writer of this story is playing a character called Rai or Ray, a frontline martial fighter, so a melee class with high hit points and strong convictions. Seeing that Thorn was doomed, I made the call and sprinted across the battlefield, opened the door, and charged in to hold the line, hoping to buy enough time for a save or turn the tide. Once I got low on health, Veyrin shut the door again, the sorcerer. No communication, no warning, just sealed it and stayed in the next room.
And stayed. I wonder with which face he did that.
Yeah.
No. No.
For sure. I'm picturing that as well. Just like your teenagers mad at you and they slam the door on you. Apparently this was only
parents.
Yeah. You're the worst parents I have. So I'm guessing there's only 3 people in this party because the writer only mentions Thorn, the sorcerer, Veyrin, and themselves, Rai, right? So both Thorn and Rai, me, end up unconscious. We were the front line, the most durable members of the party, and we both dropped while our caster stayed behind the door. To his credit, Veyrin did use Mage Hand to give Thorn a healing potion once I was already down. That's worth noting. So he didn't completely abandon us. But let's be honest, by then it was just damage control. It wasn't even damage control. It was rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic at that point. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's probably taking 50 points of damage a round with that many creatures beating on him. A healing potion's doing nothing.
Doesn't even buy them time.
Yeah. It maybe, depending on where they are in the initiative order, it might give him one more action, disengage and run, but you closed and locked the door. When we needed teamwork and fast intervention, we got self-preservation instead. And when somebody finally acted, it was too late, too little too late to stop the collapse. After the session, I brought up how bad this felt as a player and a character. I said this wasn't a tactical move. It felt more like a betrayal. One party member paralyzed, the other rushing in to save them, and our sorcerer standing behind a closed door watching. Not even watching, they closed the door. They're like doing their nails back there or something. I don't know.
I would definitely wanted to see the face of the sorcerer standing behind the door while
they're
his
just
friends are suffering.
I don't know. The DM where is it? The DM brushed it off, saying it was a tactical retreat. I pushed back, explaining that it wasn't coordinated, it wasn't discussed, it wasn't even called out. They just left 2 players to die in a session where we were already weakened because the cleric wasn't there, right? I said this wasn't just a bad call. It broke the sense of party unity. The reply, DM's call, let it go. No one died. It worked out. That's bad. That's a cop out by the DM. First of all, everybody should have died.
And sorcerer too?
Yeah, because when all of these creatures got done killing the barbarian, how did they not die? First of all, they had all these people on them and they just beat them into unconsciousness. That's not the way the world works.
And they leave them
unless they were going to question them or something. But what happens when the barbarian goes down and the fighter goes down? They're going to go through the door and beat the crap out of the sorcerer. Right?
So as a DM, I would probably laugh at very hard.
Yeah. I would say, depending on, I would need to know more about the story. So there may have been a reason why they would have taken these people alive. But as soon as they were finished with the 2 fighters, they would have gone after the sorcerer. I don't know how they even got out of this.
I don't think that this party, this author sounds like a little bit too emotional.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because a couple of hours have passed.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're missing some key facts here to determine what all happened. I personally think they're probably all dead and the cleric gets a new party next session because everybody else has new characters. Unless there was some story reason why they would take them alive. Then I get that. But then if they're taken alive, they're captured, and the cleric is by themselves having to try to rescue them or ransom them or whatever, depending on the story.
If they didn't manage to do that, 3 of them, cleric won't pull it off.
Yeah, he's not going to fight them for sure. He might be able to buy their freedom or do a quest to get their freedom, or who knows. I don't know what the story is. And this person's too emotional to really tell us too many details. But the DM is doubling down on this. He's like, it's the DM's call, let it go. No one died somehow. It worked out. So the DM must have been like, I'm not going to kill everybody over this. I'm just going to make up some lame reason why they all lived. Right?
Yeah, some bullshit reason.
Yeah, exactly. He even threw in, the DM even threw in this weird comment that our missing cleric might have been able to solo the boss. The 2 fighters got beat down by the henchmen, but the cleric can solo the boss.
I would say that to get the cleric as well. You can manage that. You can manage. They are still fine over there. Yeah. And when he goes there, he finds only skeletons.
Yeah. There's
gets his
3 party member skeletons.
Yes, yeah, of course.
It's theirs. He can turn undead and then he can loot everything. So the DM tells him to suck it up. This is what happened. The cleric can solo the rest of it, whatever. None of this had any relevance to the fact that 2 players were left behind during combat by the 3rd player. What stung the most was the dismissal. No one else is upset, so just deal with it. Well, I was. Do you get less upset when somebody tells you to calm down, or do you get more upset?
I'm always calm.
You do seem like you're always calm. I don't like it when people tell me to calm down, especially in situations where they riled me up. Right? They light the fuse and then they tell you, chill. It's all good.
Yo.
Yeah, no, that's not how human nature generally works. You are just an extremely calm individual, Alex, which is good for you because I'm often not. In game, I am, because whatever happens in game, it's not real. So why am I going to get upset about the game? Whatever you do, you want to blow up the game, you want to make it crazy, then that's what we do. It's your game. Let's go.
Let's go.
This wasn't just a combat misstep. I feel like it was a breach of trust. We're supposed to be a party that's been through hell together. After this, I don't know if I can trust that anyone has each other's backs, or that everyone has each other's backs, specifically the sorcerer, right? It's hard to role play camaraderie with people who in game and out of game treat you as disposable. Varen's player didn't say a word. No in-character justification, no out-of-character comment, just total silence, like the whole moment wasn't worth engaging with. And the DM's response made it clear that how players feel about a moment isn't as important as the narrative surviving intact. I'm still in the campaign, but I'll be honest, I'm not looking at the group the same way. Though I get that sometimes characters make selfish choices, and I get that DMs want players to figure things out for themselves, but at what point does tactical retreat just become abandonment with no consequence? If you're going to play a selfish character, fine, but shouldn't that come with some accountability? And when that player brings up feeling hurt or let down, is told, let it go, that's not really the best response. I'm curious how you would all handle this. Edit. Thank you all for the comments. It has helped me a lot. I have left the campaign and decided to look for a new group.
I think that he spammed the DM with his complaints and whining about that when everybody else were laughing their asses off by this bold move of the sorcerer. I still think the DM should have killed all of them. Yes,
I do too.
I totally agree with you on that. This is unacceptable to keep them alive, just in case that not over that. You get killed over the most stupidest things. Yeah. There is even the Darwin Prize. How is it? Does it sound on
survival of the fittest?
No, Darwin Prize when the people die in the most stupid ways.
Oh yeah, that's true. I agree with you 100%. I think this player's being unfair too, in the sense that they're confusing in character with out of character.
Yeah.
Like he's pissed out of character, but this didn't happen out of character. It happened in character. So deal with it in character. If he let your character live, then don't trust the sorcerer. Take it up with the sorcerer in game. Why you're complaining to the DM out of game that the player betrayed you? No, the player played his character. I don't like what he did. I don't like the fact that he ran away and closed the door twice. I don't like that at all. But it's not up to me. It's up to him. So deal with him.
I still think that in certain situations it would be hilariously funny.
Yeah.
I think in Monty Python like Monty Python vibe. I don't know. Something hilarious is there.
Yeah, I think there have to be consequences in game. In my live game recently, the group didn't do this to each other. They ran into a room and a iron golem came to life, animated, a statue animated into an iron golem in the room outside. Other characters, NPCs, came running into the room and started fighting it. They closed and locked the door and let them fight it. So they let the NPCs. So they ended up in a fight of their own inside this room, and that fight had already started. They didn't want to have two fights going on in two different rooms at their back, one at their back. So they closed the door. The consequence was that multiple NPCs were killed by this iron golem that could have been saved had they done it the other way, but they didn't. That's the choice they made. So
Did they
those
survive?
characters are now dead in the campaign, NPCs. If they would have been allies or helpers to them, they're not anymore.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Who argues that?
Yeah.
This is a
But
real life.
they didn't
serious
close the door
business.
on each other, though. But I'm with you. One, none of them should have survived except the cleric who wasn't there. The cleric would have had a whole new party the following week. And this isn't a player dispute. This is a character dispute. The sorcerer did it, even though he's controlled by that player. He doesn't have to explain why his character would close the door. He's a coward.
Yeah.
He's playing a
Let's
coward.
let's separate
Yeah.
flies
Separate.
and bread.
Yes. Separate it. Absolutely. All right.
I
We
want
got
to remind all of those who have survived this horror story together with us up to this point to leave this video like that, because you definitely enjoyed listening that as much as we did,
Yeah.
reading it and commenting it. Yeah.
we
Till the next
are
time.
all bloodied together. So give us a like and subscribe.
Yeah, we are in here, in there together.
Yeah,
Right.
we are.
Right.
We got time for that last one. We have about
It's up
20
to you.
minutes. Do you think we can get it in?
Let's go with the GM wants to be a renowned novel author. I will send you this one because it
Okay.
will be shorter. The Vampire Masquerade one is good, is really good. Maybe
We'll
the
do
best
that.
out
We'll
of
do that
those,
next time.
but it is long.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that one next time. So save it. And this, go ahead. Tell us who this one's from and give us the title.
The new horror story from the RPG's horror stories is from Rub Spiritual 3189. There are a lot of Rub Spirituals, I guess.
I guess.
It's titled GM wants to be a renowned novel author. I know
Uh-oh.
another GM who wants
Hey,
to
now.
be a novel author.
Hey, oh, this is not about me.
Hint.
Well, I don't think it's about me because I haven't read it yet, but I hope it's not about me. But I am actually a novel author. I am not renowned. As a matter of fact, I think Alex, you and about like my mom and about 5 other people even know that I'm a novel author. And I've already written 2. The third one comes out in a couple months as soon as my cover is done.
Awesome. I hope there will be sometime there will be a horror story about you though.
Oh
Maybe
no,
this
I
one
hope
is it.
not. If there is a horror story about me, I am going to be brutal on
You're gonna be
myself.
brutal. You wouldn't even recognize. This would
I
be
won't.
the
No.
funniest thing if you wouldn't recognize, and I will laugh my ass off, and you will be reading and roasting yourself.
I am so unself-aware. I will have no idea it's about me.
Holy shit! Now I get an idea to write it down myself.
Oh no, you haven't even been in one of my games yet. Don't you dare. Wait until
Something.
I DM a
One
game
day.
for you, then write it.
Yes.
And
yes.
write it immediately so it's really emotional.
Yeah, a couple of hours.
Yeah, right away. All right, so this GM wants to be a renowned novel author. I don't know that I have a plan to be renowned. I'm a novel author. I'm happy with that. People who find my books, great. If you don't, great. If it's not for you, that's fine. So sorry for the mistakes. English is not my first language. This
How
story,
dare you write the story in this case?
yeah, that's not. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I can write this story. This story took place 6 years ago, so it's definitely not about me. My first book came out in 2023. So,
But you did want. Maybe
oh
you
yeah,
did want 6 years ago. You
I
thought
don't think I
about
started writing it until 2022, though. So I don't think I had any plan on being a novel author before that. So this one's definitely not about me, people. So if you're typing like you're going to spam hate mail to me, it's not me. I didn't do it. This one. Maybe
Not
later.
this time.
So I joined a starting D&D 3.5 group hosted by a friend of a friend. My friend wasn't part of the party, so I didn't know anyone in it. So this person referred him to a group that he's not even in. And he joined it and he didn't know anybody. The GM was 25-ish years old. Yeah, that also definitely not me. As you can see. They live with their
You were
parents.
30 at the time, right?
Yeah.
You were already 30.
Yeah, I'm a little bit over 30, not much, but a little. Don't be rude.
As well as me.
Yeah.
As well as me.
Yeah. The GM was 25 years old, lived with his parents, and didn't have a job because he was working on writing a book novel for a few years and was convinced he would become famous because his story was amazing. Okay. I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
we all want to believe our story is amazing, but it's got to be amazing to other people, not just us.
Yeah. The bias. We are a little bit biased.
Yeah, a little bit. That's the hard part, is making it as awesome for other people as we think it is. That's the hard part. So we created our characters, a real D&D party. I was a warlock. We had a rogue, a fighter, and a monk. Another monk. What's going on?
Oh.
Uh-oh. Is it the same one? Well, that's fine. We started the GM's homebrew campaign. Each time we played via Discord and Roll20, we never met in real life. Each time, the rhythm of the session was the following: 30 to 45 minutes where the GM told us how the world evolved and how his NPCs and OCs reacted to it and interacted together. With our
What is OCs?
What's that?
What is OC?
Original characters. They're basically like, could be DM PCs.
Okay. All right.
So he's basically narrating for 30 to 45 minutes about the world, and the players, the PCs, are just watching. That's bad.
This is
That's
boring
bad DM.
as hell.
Boring. Yeah. If you're gonna lore drop, do it organically in conversations with NPCs that the characters participate.
Don't tell.
Show,
This
don't
is
tell.
the first rule of an author.
Yeah.
And he breaks it already.
Well,
how can he become a famous one after one story?
Sounds like he's just basically reading his book to the players.
It doesn't sound like fun, because if you have the extra exposition for 30-45 minutes in a book as well, it is boring as hell.
Yeah.
And in D&D, over 5 minutes, it is already too much.
It's too much. You got to do it in conversation so that they're participating. Immersion, engagement. So 30 to 45 minutes is that narrative that they're just an audience for. Then a fight happens. Goblins attack the town. The local tailor needs us to kill spiders. Whatever it is, there's a fight. Then there's 15-minute fight where we are mainly there to help the GM's OCs do the job, which they would have done even without us.
Oh no.
Then we
no.
wrap up with 30 to 45 minutes more of description of the world evolving and the NPCs living their lives, which we just sit and watch. Then a fight, then 30 to 45 minutes of narrative. He's basically saying for every hour that they play, there's 15 minutes of them and 45 minutes of the DM narrating.
I would have begun after the first exposition. Maybe after the second one, I will be like, oh shit, I remembered something. I have to go.
I'm going to the bathroom and climbing out the window.
Toilet, yeah.
And I'm not
I
coming
completely forgot.
Yeah. Why are you bringing your dice to the bathroom? Oh, for luck. Yeah. And then I'm
to
out
train a little.
Yeah, completely. I'm right out the window. So after 3 sessions, I wouldn't have made it through the first session. So after 3 sessions, I've had enough of this game where our characters are just spectators, and it wasn't even railroading. It was just NPCs, and the GM's OCs, GMPCs, living out all the cool stuff we were supposed to be doing. And we just happened to be there to watch them. So I wrote a message in the Discord server explaining my decision to leave and then left the server. I learned a few years later that the GM resented me greatly and had a session where the remaining PCs killed his PC in a fight. So, you know, that 15 minutes of fighting was against his PC. And then the DM probably narrated for 45 minutes about how that PC was the big bad the whole time.
The whole world evolved around his OCs. He was resented.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. You want to read one of the comments? I'm curious to see what people have to say about this.
The very first comment. I question why it takes 30-45 minutes to convey relevant information to the players about their current task, etc. Like, did he do? And now the news of the world. I can see how that would get old fast. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Sounds like DMing was his creative outlet, and he went overboard with his captive audience.
Yeah, it does. He was basically, I think he was writing his book through the characters.
Something you did want to do with the Rand, your character in our original campaign, OG campaign.
Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna write that book. That's not my style. No. My live campaign, the books are based on the campaign. The books I write are based, but not on the players' actions in the campaign. They have their own campaign and they've done everything completely different than I wrote it in the books. Yeah. But the story, the plot of the book is based on the campaign that I wrote and how I think, or I thought, their characters and other characters would have done it.
Yeah.
So like, I didn't wait till they did it and then wrote about what they did. I wrote about how I thought their characters would handle things, and then they did it completely differently than I would have thought.
And the narration, the story is completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. The story is completely different. Some characters are dead and gone, and other characters are new, and characters that weren't even in the story. Yeah. So it's completely different from the books. But I think it still makes a good story in the books, and they've enjoyed it for nearly 2.5 years in our live campaign. So, yeah, the campaign's been going on for 2.5 years.
Oh.
Yeah,
What level are you?
they're 10.
You're not at all of that. You're a little bit greedy on XP.
No, it's milestone experience. So when they complete certain things, storylines in the game, they level up. So and we only play every 2 weeks, so that spreads it out a little bit more too. It's not weekly. It's bi-weekly. So,
Right.
yeah.
Still 2 hours. Wait,
yeah,
2 years, 2.5 years.
2
Nice.
years. No, we never miss sessions. Haven't had a single session canceled in 2.5 years.
Not a single one.
Not a single one.
That's a dedication.
Well, the rule is we play with whoever shows up, and we have a big group. There can be up to 12 players if everybody shows up at once, but they almost never show up all at once. There's usually about 8 or 9 players though that are there almost every week.
8 players, 9 players.
Yeah. It's a
This
big
is
group.
something this is huge. This is
It is.
oversized. XXXXL.
It is. I have a hard time telling friends that they can't be in the group. And I'm certainly not going to do what that DM you told me about does and kill them off forever to let somebody else in.
He doesn't kill them. They die themselves.
Well, yeah, the player,
For some
the
reason.
character dies themselves. The player gets kicked out of the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and in your game, they roll different players.
Yeah, they'll hasn't been that many deaths. There's been a couple, and a couple of characters when I had a couple players leave the game because they either moved away or whatever reasons they wanted to leave the game, their characters don't always die. Sometimes they get turned and they have to come back and fight against them.
Oh.
If you leave the game, your character becomes an NPC, which I control.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So you may see them again. Count on it.
Count on it.
It's fun. They never know what to expect.
For I think that 8 and 9 is way too much even for a game. Not if it is going to be made as a video. As for the video, I still think that 3 players is the golden number.
Yeah.
I think even 4 is way too much.
Yeah. It really depends. If you're trying to keep it short form and trying to keep the sessions shorter, I think 3 is ideal. If you go longer, like 2-3 hours or whatever, I think 4 would be okay. You need a lot more time to let every character have time and explore and interact with each other if you're going to have more characters. Right? So I think the way we do it with shorter videos, I think we're better off with 3.
Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that we hit the golden spot.
I think so.
Right spot.
I think so. Which I know coming up, we talked about doing the finale. So we'll talk about that some more. But we have some other cool stuff coming up first, like the edited versions of our Call of Cthulhu game from yesterday. That was amazing.
I think it is going to be cool.
I
really think so. I didn't even think that it would turn out this well. We'll see.
The stream is available on our YouTube channel, so you can go check out the stream there, unedited. But the edited version probably be 3 shorter episodes. And Alex is working on those now. We both are a little bit, but Alex does all the editing. So feel free to send him comments about how great his editing is, because it is.
People don't care who edited it. Mostly, they care about who is on screen. This is
Yeah.
the most important part.
Well-
but yeah, well, editing is.
You were also
yeah.
on screen and
Yeah.
pretty much the hero of the. You were. I mean, who
I know.
who rolls all of those basically disadvantaged rolls and succeeds all those times and saves everything? You'll see. I don't want to give any spoilers.
Yeah,
Go watch it.
I didn't see. Though the time I went deep dive, I
Yeah.
thought that it is going to be the end, and I was considering my options if I gonna do that or not, because it is TPK. It sounds like TPK. There is something big and
Yeah.
Call of Cthulhu, you know.
When my character went in the water, I thought you were going to leave. You had the money. I thought you were going to leave.
Like Sorcerer.
Yeah, just walk away, close the door. But you didn't. You saved the day.
It was Tadeusz. I
It
didn't
was.
do shit.
You were playing him.
I would maybe leave. I don't know.
Nice. Nice.
I'm not that good
Remind
with the
me.
lasso.
Remind me never go swimming around Alex, because if I go down, he's just leaving.
Closing the door.
Close the door. All right. I think that's about it.
Wrap things up.